Happy day off, guys, because the market's closed, but the futures are open and those things are moving down. We're going to check out that. We're going to look at the SPY and the Qs, get you guys some daily expected moves, and a little thing about the daily expected moves. I will be looking if, for whatever reason, the implied volatility does change. So just be looking out for that. That is why, if you're a Patreon member, we will have the daily expected moves for all the stocks we cover for this Friday. We will have those out later today just to make sure the IV is okay for that calculation. But with the market right now, everyone wants the daily pullback into this area, and everyone wants the daily pullback into this area. And you don't really want to lose those areas if you're a bull. You want to see support from there with the daily pullback. That's what everyone really wants at this time. We do have some political reasons. We have other reasons that could take place, and we're going into the end of the quarter. So let's just remind ourselves what that blue line is. That blue line is the quarterly upward expected move. You notice that is exactly what we ram our head into as we start to see volatility increase. Hey, we went through expiration and you're experiencing some more volatility over with the futures. Like I said, we'll check that out in a moment. We're just going to analyze what we see without those futures being involved for the moment. We do see that the 2-hour chart here, it looks like it's still close to that center line and could do what? Curl up into positive territory, maybe to set some kind of trap at these type of levels before turning back down. If we wanted to continue this move, well, then it is going to be very important for us to squeeze at this point to raise that floor so that we can head upward into the end of the month. Those are some bullish scenarios that are set up there, but as it stands, when we go into a 30-minute chart, you do see a rolling process beginning here where you are able to take back everything you need to take back, but you never are able to curl up into positive territory until you go down and test that 597 to 598. We were mentioning a test of 598 might be necessary. You're there, but you're starting some kind of rolling process by making a new low below the 5-day moving average. Now, it's a good thing because on, this Juneteenth, that white line's holding us up here. That's pretty funny. But we can see that the market wants to continue to potentially roll that move, and that might be what's taking place in the futures. But first, here's your daily expected moves. 602.71 to the upside, 592.17 to the downside. We see that this could curl down into negative territory, and that could be a bad thing. So we really want to be paying attention to the fact that these lines do matter. And if we actually reject from these areas and roll it again, that can be a bad sign. If we're just going to head to the downside, there's still a chance we could hold up, right? This is the serious low that we really, really need to hold, but it's not necessarily a good thing if you zoom out on your 30-minute chart and you see that during this run, we really haven't lost this line almost at all. You see, we barely even go down and tag it. We barely even go down and tag it. Then we go tag it. We lose it for a moment, comes back up. We lose it for a moment, comes back up. So the thing that would be actually bad here and might be a better thing to pay attention to at this point is the rolling below the 200, the rolling below the 200 like this. And then you actually see it happen again, because if you just spike down to here and you collect yourself, well, we've seen that happen multiple times. So let's just be paying attention to if this market's a little bit irrational. Let's go over the Qs just to talk about those key levels. We do see 536.43 to the upside. We do have 521.55 to the downside for the daily expected moves for tomorrow. Finally, tomorrow's Friday, so that's awesome. We see that we are holding up with the 200 on the 30-minute. Once again, how many times did we roll this 200 during this run? The answer to that is 0. This 200 on the 30-minute, we've never rolled that. So we can look for that roll now. We have seen us break it. If we are able to see an upward move, maybe even we come down and we react up and we reject from that area, that is more when we can start to see downside. Or if we even want to try to take it back and set some kind of trap, that can take place. So what you're looking for here for the 30 minutes to go positive is no kind of rejection here, no kind of rejection here. You really want to just see an upward movement in this to continue to go to the upside, which can allow you to curl up a 2-hour chart. The 2-hour chart, as of right now, you have a rejection lower high that's potentially, it has actually potentially confirmed when it takes out this low. So just be prepared if this thing wants to start to roll on that 2-hour. It's not necessarily a good thing. You can see your 5-day starting to do what? Curl, right? You see these curls, bad things can happen when you start to curl and reject from that 5-day. So the 2-hour is able to curl up into positive territory. Some things to be aware of, some kind of OPEX trap that leads you into something bad over the weekend. The other thing that could happen here is we extend that floor by going up, not showing any weakness, curling back down, going up and up and up. And then we're actually potentially even able to extend this a little bit in July before we tear down. You have bought yourself some time with the structure that you have formed here. This is why during the live show, you might have heard me mentioning multiple times, like, hey, pay attention to the price action now, because we're not necessarily doing an awful thing. We kind of are right now for the futures, but at the time, not doing anything awful at this point. So if we're able to curl up in any way, we actually can extend this into next Wednesday. And next Wednesday, we do get GDP, where it is supposed to surprise and come in negative. So just pay attention to that, because we might have bought ourselves some time going into next Wednesday with that GDP. All right, so for the Qs, everyone's looking for the daily pullback. If you're someone that's kind of being like me, you guys know that overall, I'm just being nice and patient here. And I go, hey, I'd like to see a daily pullback to right here. I would like to see a daily pullback to right down here as well. Either way, however it wants to get down there, I'll be looking out for the signals. I'll be looking at those July monthly expected moves and seeing if we're able to curl up into positive territory one more time to get that second move higher, because I would say that there's a huge amount of more probability, right? I would say like 90% would be that we're going to do this, right? 90% chance that we're going to not, it doesn't have to be in that same fashion, but eventually you're going to come test like these levels or down in these levels, and you're going to curl up to see the next move higher. That is really how this market is shaped up to be, with that 10% a chance of just being like, okay, but if we lose everything, that changes. Just that's not that high of percentage at this point. All right, let's go look at those futures real quick. One thing to mention before we go look at them, volatility was up by more than 10% here, it seems. Look at that, 10%. So very interesting, because if you look at what's going on here with volatility, and you look at Wednesday, it's just kind of wild, because it completely breaks down. Then you actually start to scale that thing back up. So it's very interesting. But if you really look at the bars for volatility, it's kind of telling you you're up by 10%, kind of on a day where you were down negative 6.76%. So I'm very confused by this at this point. I just wanted to point that out. Very strange. But for what we see, we do see the inclination that we could continue the move slightly into July, but I'm not leaning towards that. I think there is risk going into from now till next Wednesday. So the 2-hour pulls back, if that is able to just turn up, say like next week, I think that this market might start to be in a little bit of trouble, or at least higher volatility. So just be aware of that. We're looking for the potential for this to turn around early on over the weekend, maybe with some Israel-Iran stuff, but then it like kind of sets traps into GDP. I think that would be very interesting. But you do have 2-hour divergence on your MACD. You do have that 2-hour divergence on your RSI at the same time. So, weirdly enough, that is a signal that turns down daily charts, and that means this daily chart could actually go retest these lows, which I think would be crazy, and that's probably how we end up extending the move the most drastically to the upside, like we see new all-time high. So we'll be watching that. Let's just go take a peek at futures, and then I do have to get out of here for today. Patreon members, make sure you are looking at Patreon later tonight when we do put out the daily expected moves for all the stocks we cover on Patreon. We do see here that we are kind of collapsing down right now, but I did put up the daily expected moves for the SPX just to see if futures would tag them. And you notice we are directly on it as of right now at that 59.28. Those levels are what we want to see here. So something that is very likely to take place now that we are going down. If it's some kind of crash reason, something that nobody like really saw coming or wasn't expected, okay, those things happen. You tear down, right? You're losing the low. You're rolling the 5. Like you have a lower high. It's all not that good. So let's talk about two things here. What is very likely to happen before we head down? Well, notice when we do lose the 5-day here, we reject off, and now's the time where we're doing what? We're losing that 200 on the 2-hour. So if we're going to see something bad here, we most likely need to see the roll at this point, meaning we could see a gap down, this comes up, and then we actually roll that move. So just be paying attention to that if the market shows you it, because that's rolling below critical things. You have rarely, if ever, you haven't seen the roll. You really haven't seen a roll here, no new low. Right here, no new low. No, not even close to tagging it, not even close to tagging it, right? The times where you lose it, you get the roll. If you look over here, you can see that we lose it and we immediately get a roll. We lose it, we immediately get a roll from the 5-day. We lose it, we immediately get roll from 5-day. Okay, that's how you really tear down quickly. And so I think the thing you're looking for based on this is maybe that upward move on Friday and see if it's able to fail. And that could be some kind of setup there. But as it stands, if we wanted to go bullish, right, we pay attention to both scenarios. So it looks like a roll would be important there. Hey, if black swan type things happen, they happen. For right now, you just need to take this out according to the SPX 500. You will need to curl way up and see a surge. Then you potentially pull back next Monday, and then you see if you can curl up into positive territory. It would be very interesting to see this kind of stair stepper up into GDP. That would be very interesting, and we'll have updated weekly expected moves. So maybe come back for that next week before GDP for that analysis. But I hope you guys were able to take something away from this video. For today, I do have to hop off right now, but we will be putting out those daily expected moves in a bit, Patreon members. I will see you guys live tomorrow morning. We will have a stream kind of like yesterday's. If you were able to join us, thank you, thank you, thank you. Just streaming in the morning, taking a little break for lunch in the gym, and then coming back in the afternoon. So hopefully you can come by and see us and ask some questions. All right, guys, have a great day, and I will see you tomorrow. Peace out.